tassa bhagavato arhato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arhato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arhato samma sambuddhassa. Sadhu. So today I am going to take a sutta which is something which is, I think it's a common sutta among many kind of chanting books. And it is giving a very simple information, but it gives in a interesting manner. This is a sutta link I am sharing, so you can follow it along with me. So these are, it's a very simple concept that Buddha says that whatever you frequently put your mind on, that becomes your inclination of your mind. So the Buddha is giving certain subjects for recollection, or there are regular reflection. So here Bhikkhu Bodhi uses the theme, but sometimes subject for recollection or regular recollection is said. So the sutta is Majjhima Nikaya. It is in Anguttara Nikaya, book of 5, and sutta is 57. So over here in this sutta, this is telling you about the 5 themes. Bhikkhus, there are these 5 themes that should often be reflected upon by a woman or a man or a householder or one gone forth. What 5? So even it is for all people. So it is for a woman, it's for a man, it's for somebody who has a householder, or he is one gone forth. So whoever is there, they have to reflect, I am subject to old age. I am not exempt from old age. So everybody are subject to old age, and nobody kind of can escape the old age. I have told you before also, there are many kind of people in rich countries. They try to use medicine. They try to use exercise. They try to use kind of something new. Like one executive was there in Silicon Valley. He kind of was injecting himself with the blood of a healthy youth. So he used to pay that person just to be healthy and share his blood. And he used to pay him just to kind of exist for his blood. And then he kind of thought that if I have healthy blood, then I will not become old, if I have young person's blood infused in my blood. So people try to kind of escape the old age, but this is not possible. A woman, a man, a householder, or one gone forth should often reflect thus, I am subject to illness. I am not exempt from illness. So the other thing which we are all subject to are illness. Even if somebody is not been ill till now, he is subject to illness. We cannot say that you can be exempt from illness. So in this period of a lot of people have a natural immunity, and they have not fallen into this virus which is going around. But there are certain other things that they may face. Maybe they face lifestyle issues, or they may face issues with weight or something like that. So everybody is subject to some kind of illness. A woman, a man, a householder, or one gone forth often reflect thus, I am subject to death. I am not exempt from death. So this is also a subject of reflection, that everybody will die. Even in the sense of the universe, even the suns and stars are there. They are also subject to death. If you hear, say, some astrologist like Neil deGrasse Tyson talk about stars, he will say that it is a young star. This is an old star. It is a dying star. So even the stars and the planetary systems have an age, and they also kind of at one point of time die. We find that from science that the gold present in Earth means that the sun which is there is the third star. There was a first star which kind of exploded after its billions of years or billions of years, And then from the dust, there was a second star. And that also stayed for billions of years and then exploded. And that created the elements of gold. And then when the third star sun was created, the dust which was there, the dust accumulated, and some of them accumulated in the gold was come. So we can know that everything is subject to death and renewal. Even our sun itself is the third generation sun. So everything has a time, and that time it dies. A woman, a man, a householder, one gone forth, should often reflect thus: I must be parted, separated from everyone and everything dear and agreeable to me. So this is about the realities of life, the impermanence of life, that whatever is there, the person is there, there are relationships are there relatives are there. Sometimes we have to part from them. Sometimes we have in a mundane way, what we have to do is we have to kind of shift cities, so we can part. If there are certain things we like, physical objects are there, like there is a phone is there, or a television is there, or a car is there, then some mechanical issues can come, some electronic issue can come, and then that has to be discarded. So everything which is there, human or physical, are subject to be parted. So at a one time of time, we have to say goodbye to them. A woman, a man, a householder, or one gone forth should often reflect this: I am the owner of my Kamma, heir of my Kamma. I have Kamma as my origin, Kamma as my relative, Kamma as my resort. I will be heir of whatever Kamma, good or bad, that I do. So it is also talking about the birth. So whatever happens through Kamma. So you are responsible for your actions. So Kamma is in one way action, and sometimes they have Buddha elaborates that Kamma is also classified as the vipaka, that is the result of Kamma you get. But over here, the Buddha is kind of using just the one word, Kamma. So it is, in a way, he is kind of giving a simple teaching that I am owner of my Kamma, heir of my Kamma, Kamma as my origin, Kamma as my relative, Kamma as my resort, and I will be heir of whatever Kamma, good or bad, that I do. So if you are doing good, then you can expect that immediately you may kind of get a good feeling, or you feel happy. That is the immediate result. In the short term, you may be kind of praised, and people may like you, and then somebody may kind of help you because you are helping others. That is in the medium term. And in the long term, maybe after you have passed away and discarded this body, you may get the results of that. So whatever good you do, in that you get results in the immediate, medium, and the long term. In the same way, whatever bad you do, you may feel bad, guilty in the immediate. If you kind of break one of those precepts, then you may immediately feel that bad. In the medium term, people may know about you, they may criticize you, they may kind of punish you. So that is the medium term, you get results. And in the long term, after you have passed away, you may still get the results of that bad action. So whatever actions you are doing, you are good or bad, you are the heir of that Kamma. For the sake of what benefit should a woman or a man, a householder, or one gone forth often reflect thus: I am subject to old age, I am not exempt for old age. So the Buddha is kind of giving a little bit more information on this. In their youth, beings are intoxicated with their youth, and when they are intoxicated with their youth, they engage in misconduct by body, speech, and mind. So Buddha is saying that when you are young and you are in the prime of youth, you do not think about that you would also be old one day. And certain people who are young may kind of conduct themselves badly with speech or action or the mind thoughts. they may conduct. Say like there is a lot of a problem in UK. Once I was hearing about young people kind of attacking old people. Shara may know about that. We were reading about those things. So they were kind of young people who were going around. They had maybe nothing to do, and they were kind of taking their kind of frustration about maybe unemployment or something like that, or lack of school. And then they kind of do misconduct. They harass elderly people, because they don't realize that though that people who were also young one day, and they would also themselves become old. So if you kind of frequently reflect that, see, I am young now, but I will one day become old, then you will not do the bad things, and that will also save you in the future by keeping a check in your actions. In their youth, beings are intoxicated with their youth. And when they are intoxicated with their youth, they engage in misconduct by body, speech, and mind. When one often reflects upon this theme, the intoxication with youth is either completely abandoned or diminished. It is for the sake of this benefit that a woman or a man, a householder, one gone forth, should often reflect thus: I am subject to old age. I am not exempt from old age. So this can diminish or abandon your kind of conceit about youth. And for the sake of what benefit should a woman or a man or a householder or one gone forth often reflect thus: I am subject to illness. I am not exempt from illness. In a state of health, beings are intoxicated with health. And when they are intoxicated with their health, they engage in misconduct by body, speech, and mind. So in this case also, one person who is kind of healthy does not kind of care for people who are ill. There are one or two incidents in my life itself. Once I was traveling, I had gone to Leh Ladakh, and I fell severely ill. I came to by plane. I came by flight to Delhi, and then I had to come back to Mumbai. Then in that flight, there were some youths were there. They kind of were misbehaving with me, just because I was unable to kind of reply to them or kind of fight with them. So just because they were healthy and the other person was ill, they thought that they could make fun of that person. So in that way, they had done certain actions which are unwholesome. So in this same way, we also have to kind of ensure that when we are healthy and the other person is ill, we have compassion for the condition of others, and we help that person, and we kind of gain merit by that actions. But sometimes we kind of wish if some relative or a family member has been a long prolonged illness is there, then we wish bad for them. Oh, I hope this person kind of passes away or something like that. That is from the mind. Sometimes speech, we say certain harsh things for somebody who is unable to walk fast or be in pace with you, or unable to kind of help you out at home or something like that. So in that way, if you are a kind of being kind of conceitful about your health, then also you can have misconduct by body, speech, and mind. So in that sense, you have to be careful that you don't create that conceit. Then you have to recollect that often, that you are also subject to the old age, or sorry, the ill health. But when one often reflects upon this theme, the intoxication with health is either completely abandoned or diminished. It is for the sake of this benefit that a woman or a man, a householder or one gone forth, should often reflect thus: I am subject to illness. I am not exempt from illness. So one should frequently remember that. And for the sake of what benefit should a man or a woman, a householder or one gone forth often reflect thus: I am subject to death. I am not exempt from death. During their lives, beings are intoxicated with life. And when they are intoxicated with life, they engage in misconduct by body, speech, and mind. When one often reflects upon this theme, the intoxication with life is either completely abandoned or diminished. So once again, beings are kind of think that they are unable to, they are not subject to death, and they will live forever. And then they do certain actions which are unwholesome. One of those things I find very kind of disturbing is the some clips are circulated of people doing dangerous acts, like going from one building to another, and they have a name for also parkour or something like that. So they do this acts out of feeling that they are very fit, they are youthful, and they are not subject to death. But there are a lot of people who kind of have accidents and they pass away. But those clips are not kind of circulated. But regularly we see in the news that there is a youth who was taking a selfie, or a person who was attempting a stunt, who has passed away because he never had a thought that he is also subject to death. So he was not careful, he did not take maybe precautions, or he did not evaluate that situation properly to do that action. So he, if somebody thinks that he is not subject to death or does not have that frame of mind, then he may kind of do unwholesome things with body, speech, and mind. So in that sense, one has to be recollecting every time that you are also subject to death, and you have to kind of not be intoxicated with life, and you have to abandon or diminish your intoxication with life. And it is for the sake of this benefit that a woman or a man or a householder or one gone forth should often reflect thus: I am subject to death, I am not exempt from death. And for the sake of what benefit should a woman or a man, a householder or one gone forth often reflect thus: I must be parted, separated from everyone, everything dear and agreeable to me. Beings have desire and lust in regard to those people and things that are dear and agreeable, and excited by this lust, they engage in misconduct by body, speech, and mind. But when one often reflects upon this theme, the desire and lust in regard to everyone and everything dear and agreeable is either completely abandoned or diminished. It is for the sake of this benefit that a woman or a man, a householder or one gone forth should often reflect thus: I must be parted, separated from everyone and everything dear and agreeable to me. So in this sense, there is a kind of a lust or a craving for relationships. There are a craving for physical objects, and all physical objects have, or all humans have the same quality of impermanence. So they have to move somewhere, they can be subject to illness, they can also be subject to death. And we have to part sometime because of circumstances in life. And when we have too much attachment to people or things, then it creates a lot of dukkha in us. There's a lot of pain and suffering, which is caused because of the attachments we have. So certain, say there is an example, there is a object which is there with you. I had a kind of a object, there was a Swiss army knife kind of a thing. I had purchased that before I went to the forest. Because in the forest monastery, some monk had kind of suggested to me that if you are being a monk, it would be very useful to have a tool. So then I got that tool and I used it in the forest, and I always had it with me. And when I went to Sri Lanka, there also I had that object. But I used to kind of do this recollection in Vatpa Nanachat also. This is a part of the chanting book over there. And one day what I found was this was missing. Somebody had taken this knife and had kind of misplaced it. And I said, okay, it was subject to kind of always getting departed, means parted with me, because this is impermanent. Then I kind of did not worry about it. But after a week or so, I kind of, somebody found it misplaced. They had kind of put it in a wrong place, and they found it and came back and gave it to me. So that gave me a very good lesson, that just because I had this recollection of all objects which I have, I used to kind of go through this object and say this is impermanent, this is impermanent, this is impermanent. And that kind of really made a difference in my mind state. So if a certain object is lost, I would have kind of been very sad, or I would have lost my emotional balance, because that is the normal kind of way of behaving, because we have attachments to it. Because I had this practice of kind of looking at object and saying that these are all impermanent. And just by this reflection, I was doing it as a mechanical thing. I never had that experience of that. But in a this was suddenly this object kind of missed, and I kind of really was attached to that object, because it was a special object. It is a Swiss Army knife. It is a thing which kind of connected with Wat Pananaja, which was a place I was kind of also emotionally connected with. But when this object kind of was missing, then I realized that I did not react in the normal sense. The mechanical recollection also that these objects are impermanent kind of at that time helped me keep the calm. And that is the reason Buddha says is, when you are kind of recollecting something again and again, that becomes the inclination of your mind. So if your repeated inclination of your mind is impermanence of things, then your mind will kind of incline to impermanence. So that is a very important kind of lesson the Buddha is giving to us. And for the sake of what benefit should a woman or a man, a householder, or one gone forth often reflect thus: I am the owner of my Kamma, the heir of my Kamma. I have Kamma as my origin, Kamma as my relative, Kamma as my resort. I will be heir of whatever Kamma, good or bad, I do. People engage in misconduct by body, speech, and mind. But when one often reflects upon this theme, such misconduct is either completely abandoned or diminished. It is for the sake of this benefit that a woman or a man, a householder, or one gone forth should often reflect thus: I am the owner of my Kamma, the heir of my Kamma. I have Kamma as my origin, Kamma as my relative, Kamma as my resort. I will be the heir of whatever Kamma, good or bad, I do. So Buddha is talking about a broad aspect, saying that any action we do, we have to reflect that this is a action of Kamma. And when we are doing this action of Kamma, we are actually creating the future results for it. And what we do in the present will determine what happens in the future. So you have to be careful whenever you are doing any action with your body, speech, or mind. And you have to be careful that there is no unwholesome actions which happen, because whatever action you are doing, that is your Kamma. And you are the heir of that Kamma, good or bad. So any action which you are doing, if you have this reflection and you remember this repeatedly, then automatically your mind will incline towards that. And now the Buddha is going through all these five, but for a noble discipline. So now what the Buddha has told about is for the four group of people that he says is, even if it is a man or a woman or a household or a monastic, these are the rules which apply and it helps. But he is giving this advice to even Aryas. Arya are anybody who has attained Sotapanna fruit or path, Sakdagami fruit or path, or Anagami fruit or path. Arahant will not require this, because Arahant are already done with their training. So only those three which are there will be requiring this advice which the Buddha is giving again. This noble disciple reflects thus: I am not the only one who is subject to old age, not exempt from old age. All beings have come and go, that pass away, undergo rebirth, are subject to old age. None are exempt from old age. As he often reflects on this theme, the path is generated. He pursues this path, develops it, cultivates it. As he does so, the fetters are entirely abandoned and the underlying tendencies are uprooted. So the Buddha is kind of advising the Arahant, the Arya, who has attained Sotapanna, Sakdagami or Anagami, that you should also reflect upon this. And when one reflects upon this aspect, that I am not the only one who is subject to old age, not exempt from old age. All beings come and go. The passing away and undergo rebirth are subject to old age. None are exempt from old age. So this is a one level higher thinking about that the whole cycle of samsara. So Arya is thinking about the cycle of samsara, saying that everybody who has been born is subject to the old age, and everybody kind of comes and goes. He passes away and he's reborn. So he's talking about the larger samsara. And then when he's thinking about the samsara, then his attachment to the samsara kind of diminishes. That is the way the path has been generated. When the path has been generated, then what he does is he pursues that path, develops it, cultivates it. As he does so, the fetters are entirely destroyed. The fetters are the connections which we have, the deep connections which we have with our concepts, the concepts of I, the concept of the me or the mine. That those concepts are the fetters which kind of have those attachments which get us attached to things. And it also means that in perception, there are deep perceptual biases which we have. So whenever we are even intellectually saying something, but we may have in deep those attachments. That's the reason somebody who kind of says a kind of, I will maybe get up every morning early. He's very kind of sincere about it. But the next morning when the alarm kind of rings, then he's deep reactions which are there to the alarm kind of activate once again. He switches off the alarm and sleeps longer than he had planned for, because those are the attachments or the fetters which he has to that kind of action. So in this sense, the Buddha is saying that when you kind of reflect on that, that fetters are entirely abandoned and underlying tendencies are uprooted. So underlying tendencies are tendencies which are not in this on the surface, but below the surface, which are present. And when that underlying tendencies are kind of uprooted, then there is no coming back. So that is, he's talking about the higher path and higher result of this practice. This noble disciple reflects us: I am not the only one who is subject to illness, not exempt from illness. All beings that come and go, that pass away and undergo rebirth, are subject to illness. None are exempt from illness. As he often reflects on this theme, the path is generated. He pursues this path, develops it, cultivates it. As he does so, the fetters are entirely abandoned and underlying tendencies are uprooted. This noble disciple reflects us: I am not the only one who is subject to death, not exempt from death. All beings come and go, that pass away, undergo rebirth, are subject to death. None are exempt from death. As he often reflects on this theme, the path is generated. He pursues this path, develops it, cultivates it. As he does so, the fetters are entirely abandoned and underlying tendencies are uprooted. The noble disciple reflects thus: I am not the only one who must be parted and separated from everyone and everything dear and agreeable. So one way of looking at from the Arya view is that that I am not the only one who must be parted and separated from everyone and everything dear and agreeable. All beings that come and go, that pass away and undergo rebirth, must be parted, separated from everyone and everything dear and agreeable. That is happens at the time of death for everybody. So everybody who has subject to death will be subject to be getting parted from whatever is dear from him, physical and even the relationships or the people they have. So as he often reflects on this theme, the path is generated. He pursues this path, develops it, cultivates it. As he does so, the fetters are entirely abandoned and underlying tendencies are uprooted. So one other thing about the path is that he says that his path, he pursues the path, means he kind of walks on the path. He develops it, means he kind of puts in effort to kind of mature that path and cultivates it. Cultivating something means that you give it time, you give it patience. Like in India, there is a Kabir's couplet is there. Dhire dhire re mana dhire sab kuch hoy. Mali siche so ghada rut aaye phal hoy. So that means that slowly, slowly it will happen. And he kind of says to the one is in the mind that everything will happen slowly. Then if a gardener puts in 100 buckets of water, he will not get the kind of the fruit immediately. It will come when the season is right. So he's kind of saying that you have to cultivate it. So that for the cultivation, patience is required. So Kabir is saying in this doha that when the season is right, then the fruit will come. You cannot just put all the fertilizer, all the water which is required for the cultivation at one time and get the fruits. You will have to do it in a proper manner. You have to put the fertilizer when needed, you put the water when needed, and you give the time where which is needed. Only then you will get the fruit. So in the same way, Buddha is also saying that he kind of pursues the path, develops it, cultivates it. As he does so, the fetters are entirely abandoned and underlying tendencies are uprooted. So as one kind of does the practice continuously, then the practice kind of gives results. Certain times we kind of find out the practice is giving results by kind of somebody else's comments, that you were kind of not very angry in this situation, or you were not kind of very hurried in the situation, or you were not kind of upset with the situation. So sometimes the feedback comes from others. So, but just by pursuing our path, we can kind of have a bent of mind, and the bent of mind can be noticed by others. And that is what I also say when we are doing the retreats, that the result of this practice is when somebody kind of comments on you that your behavior has changed for the better. So that is when you have kind of taken the benefit of this practice, that by using this practice, by using the 6 R's, by using the method to kind of bring your attention to the object of your liking, by kind of being able to kind of recognize the unwholesome mind and let it go, relax and re-smile and come back, you can kind of change your mind. You have to pursue your practice continuously. This noble disciple reflects thus: I am not the only one who is the owner of one's Kamma, the heir of one's Kamma, who has Kamma as one's origin, Kamma as one's relative, Kamma as one's resort, who will be heir to of whatever Kamma, good or bad, that one does. All beings that come and go, that pass away and undergo rebirth, are owners of their Kamma, heirs of their Kamma. All the Kamma as their origin, Kamma as their relative, Kamma as their resort, all will be heirs of whatever Kamma, good or bad, they do. As he often reflects on this theme, the path is generated. He pursues this path, develops it, and cultivates it. As he does so, the fetters are entirely abandoned, underlying tendencies are uprooted. So the noble disciple who is there, who has attained even a Sotapanna, Saktagami or Anagami, he also has to reflect on that his actions over now will result in the next result. So Sotapanna now, if he does his work and takes care of his actions, then his progress to the Sagdagami will happen. If the Sagdagami kind of does his action and does his work, then he will be subject to being an Anagami. If an Anagami works and does his actions, only then he will be able to be an Arahant. After he is Arahant, then he can relax, because that is the time where the all his actions have reached its culmination and it has resulted in the fruit of release. So that is how till you are at Arahant, the practice will continue. The right effort which is there, the harmonious practice which is there, or we call it 6 R's, which will continue till the time when you are reaching the ultimate aim of the Nibbana, or ultimate aim of the Arahant. Till that time, everybody will have to continue their work. There is no kind of breaks over here. You have to continuously work, and when you are continuously working and continuously progressing, this will kind of definitely give results. I kind of continuously talk about the simile of the egg, the chicken, when it sits on the egg, it will definitely hatch. And one other simile which the Buddha gives is of the rope and the the boat. When the boat is put on the ocean and tied with a rope, the rope will at one day get broken. It will be because of the wind, because of the water and the salt and all these things and the sun. It stays there, and after some time it will get broken. So in that same way, when we are continuously kind of working with our fetters, working with our attachments, those attachments will break one day, because we are continuously putting the sun of attention on that. We are putting the kind of the water, the salty water of our right effort. And when we continuously kind of work on that attachments, then that attachment will break one day. It will become weaker, and later on it will break. So a continuous action and continuous practice is required. And then there is a kind of a couplets the Buddha has given. Worldlings subject to illness, old age and death are disgusted by other people who exist in accordance with their nature. So they are saying, the Buddha is saying that when a person or a worldling is there, who is himself subject to illness, old age, death, but he is kind of not happy, or he is disgusted by other people who exist in accordance to their nature, which that is also their nature also. The other people also have the same nature. If I were to become disgusted with being who has such a nature, that would not be proper for me, since I too have the same nature. So when a person is dealing with another person, then you have to think that I am subject to illness, I am subject to old age, I am subject to death, and the other person is also subject to illness, old age and death. So it is not right for me to kind of judge the other person. So it is kind of those themes are there in other places also. They say that you don't judge others because you are also will be judged in the same manner. So in the same way, the Buddha is saying that because you are the subject of all these things, then the other is also subject to, so it is not right to kind of judge the other person. One other thing the Buddha says is that if you find anybody in the best of situation, the most kind of the powerful, the most richest, the most famous person, you have at one point of time in the Kamma, in the lifetime of millions of lifetime you have lived, have been in that position. If you see somebody in the darkest kind of situation, subject to kind of illness, they are in suffering and poverty, you have also been in that position. So you have to be kind of compassionate to the people who are in bad situation, and you should not be kind of, you have to have the sympathetic joy for the people who are in a good situation. But in that both the ways, you have to kind of think about that I could be in that same position, or I was there in that same position. Buddha says that each person has been to all realms of the existence, even the Brahma realm, or even being a world conquering king. So each one of us has at one point of time had whatever is imaginable. So everything is subject to change. That's the reason we find ourselves over here. But if we don't understand that it is continuously going round and round, we will one other day we will become again the kings, and we will kind of have power and money and everything. But that all power and money and everything which we had in the past has gone. And we are still come, and we are over here in our own situation. And in the future also, that would same thing will happen. So we have to kind of understand this and break this cycle. Break this cycle, because this cycle is coming from the attachment of me, mine, and myself. All these things which happens because of the youth, because of health, because of being kind of in a not understanding the attachments, then all this are subject to change, because then youth becomes old age, then health becomes illness, and the life becomes death. So you have to understand and break the attachments. While I was dwelling thus, having known the state without acquisitions, I overcame all intoxications. So the Buddha is saying that while I was dwelling thus, means while I was thinking about that I am also subject to old age, illness, and death. The other person is also subject to old age, illness, and death. Then what happened is that he, having known the state without acquisitions. Acquisitions means that you are not holding on to anything. You are not craving for anything. You are not having attachments to anything. I overcame all intoxications. Intoxications are the feeling of the ownership of all these things which we have, the things which we have, the people which we have. We kind of say, this is my son, this is my daughter, this is my car, this is my bungalow. So the Buddha says, you say, this is my wealth, this is my daughter, this is my son, and this is my wife. But you are not your own. You cannot control your own mind. You cannot control your own body. But you are trying to take ownership of all the other things. That is the intoxication which we have. Intoxication with health. Sorry. Intoxication with youth. Intoxication with life. Having seen security in renunciation. So what Buddha understood was that he saw that everything I have attachment to, because he had everything in that point of time. He had youth, he had life, he had health, and he had wealth, and everything was there. But those things, if he is getting attached to that, then it will only lead, it will only change. It will only, the health will become illness, the youth will become oldness, and the life will become death. So he kind of had this idea that having seen security in renunciation, that means that he saw that by renouncing my attachment to it, my attachment to my youth, my attachment to my health, my attachment to my life, I will renounce that attachment. That is the main attachment which we have. Zeal then arose in me as I clearly saw Nibbana. Now I am capable of indulging in sensual pleasures, relying on the spiritual life. Never will I return back. So he says that even if there is sensual pleasures which are presented to an Arahant or an Buddha, it does not affect him. So one way of explaining an Anagami is that an Anagami can go and have a royal meal and not be in danger of kind of getting attached to that food. So he can have that food, but there will not be an attachment. The Buddha can have the silk robes, but he will not be attached to that silk robe. Buddha can live in a palace, but he will not be attached to that palace. So he is not have any kind of fear now, because the attachments which were there, which were creating all these problems, he has abandoned. So what we do when we are doing a right effort or 6R is the same thing. We are kind of giving up the attachments. The first attachment we give is, this is me. If there is fear in the mind, we say, I am afraid. When we kind of see with the wisdom that this is just arising in us. If you have kind of wanting for something, then say, I want that. Or there is a need which arises in your mind, or a want arises in the mind. So when you recognize, you release and relax and re-smile and come back to what you're doing, then you can abandon those things. So attachments of our things which are there in our life kind of creates those problems. So even the basic attachment to the youth is there, the basic attachment to health is there, the basic attachment that we are alive is there. Those things are also to be abandoned. And that is the story of the Buddha also, where he kind of goes to the market and sees this old man, and then he figures out that, see, I am young, but there can be old age. Then he sees a sick man and says, I am healthy, but there can be sickness. He sees a dead man and says, I am alive, but there can be death. So then he understands the kind of those can change. And when they understand this can change, and then what is the escape from that? Then he sees a renunciant. This basically in suttas, there is one other story of another youth, a merchant son, who also has the 4 palaces, and he also kind of goes out and sees those things and kind of becomes disenchanted. So this is a common theme for the Buddha, and it is not just the Buddha who kind of sees those things, but Buddha finds the escape. So that person, the merchant son, had seen those things and had got disenchanted, but the route to how to get this means escape from this samsara is given by the Buddha, because it takes a lot to kind of figure out the escape and the right practice which is required. Even a Pacceka Buddha who may kind of find for himself the path of escape, he is unable to kind of teach it, because the time is not right, or he does not have the confidence that when I kind of teach, people will understand. So because of that, the Pacceka Buddha does not teach. And then you need a Sammasum Buddha to be there for us to kind of give the path and the practice. So as of now, reasonably, Buddha's teachings are alive, and the practice is also alive. And Bhante Vimalaramsi has done a lot to kind of learn this practice and kind of give it to us. So we should take the advantage of it and continue the practice. So this is the kind of encouragement, and this is the 5 recollections if we are doing every day. As I had given the example that I was myself surprised that by just having this recollection, the reactions of our attachments can be reduced. So what the Buddha says is really correct, that whatever we think and ponder upon, that becomes the inclination of our mind. So this is what the Buddha is saying, that think and ponder upon those things which are important. And he's giving these 5 important things for you to reflect. So this has all the things like the birth is there in the Kamma teaching, aging is there, sickness is there, death is there. Those are the 4 dukkhas which the Buddha says. Then the impermanence, the attachment to people and things. So the teaching of the impermanence is there. So in this small teaching, the Buddha is giving his complete teaching of the dukkha and how to kind of understand and escape from it. So here he gives initially the teachings for the lay people, woman, man, householder, monk, and then to the Aryas also, this is important. So at any stage of your life, you are there, you can still take advantage of this teachings. So we'll be open for questions. Is there any questions? Even a meditation question or something like that, we are open for that. Yes. Yeah.
Hello, Bandi. Thank you very much for that teaching. I wanted to just bring out, have one question that I found very interesting. In the first half of the sutta, when we're reflecting, we're in the sutta, we're reflecting on our individual awareness around health and being intoxicated with life and the desire and lust for everyone and everything. These seem to be purifying reflections.
Correct.
But in the second half of the sutta, it seems that it's only when we actually reflect on the universality of it, in other words, how other people are affected, does path begin to get generated.
No, path, path, he says that path is generating, but the diminishing of that is also kind of a generating of path. So say if you are reflecting that, at one point of time, that will diminish. Or it can be means it is completely gone. So those things the Buddha is saying in the first part. The second part, the Buddha is asking to reflect on a broader scale, that if I am subject, they are subject, and then each beings are being reborn. So this being subject to this is not just the one-time subjection. Yes. It is a repetition of subjection of illness, not just the illness of my body in this life, but all people's body in this life. And everybody who has been reborn has kind of had this experience before, and then when they are reborn, again they will have the experience again. So he's kind of looking at a very broad perspective. He is going from me, as you kind of pointed out, and he's going to kind of the others. So he is broadening the perspective.
Yeah. Well, the thing I was interested in is in the structure of the sutta here, that when we reflect on ourselves, then our own behavior is we either abandon or it's diminished. And then when we reflect on others, that broader perspective then seems to let's just see how what the
fetters. He talks about fetters and the attachments.
Yes, but then it goes on to say once we reflect on these things, path is generated, and as a consequence of path being generated, he pursues the path, develops it, and cultivates it. So the wider perspective, I'm interested in this. The wider perspective is necessary, if you like, in order to take it from the personal to the universal. And because we see it in the universal context, that seems to be an important factor in developing path. I was just wondering what your thoughts around that were.
So one other way of looking at is the impersonality of that condition. So impersonality of the aging. It is not me who ages. There is aging. So there is not me, I am subject to illness. There is illness. There is not me who is subject to death. There is death. So there is a kind of a impersonality to those things, and then it is not me who is doing all this thing. It is you also. It is the other people also, and it is not just over here who we can see. The people who were born before were subject to that. The people who are here are subject to that. Who will be reborn will be subject to that. So in that sense, there is an urgency to escape from this cycle because the impersonality is known, and the attachments to those things as my aging, my illness, my death kind of diminish. And then the underlying tendencies is mentioned, because underlying tendencies are tendencies and the fetters are the fetters which cannot be kind of understood or got rid of by reading information. It can only be done by the act of knowing. An act of knowing is when we are kind of able to kind of know our attention. That is the 6 R's. Without knowing the attention, we are unable to kind of know that these things are arising and passing away. So the thought of about the illness is there. That is arising in us, and then they are passing away. So when we are aware, that awareness is what Bhante says is the mindfulness, remembering to observe how your mind's attention is moving from one thing to another. So that remembering to be observant of our mind states is the start of the journey.
I wonder also whether, thank you for Bhante, I wonder also whether it's also, when we look at it from a personal perspective, the temptation is to go, well, I need to protect myself from these things. So I need to protect myself from ill health. I need to do whatever I can to delay old age. And so we become very self-centered around what can we do to preserve ourselves. But then once the mind goes out and sees this as a universal problem, then we realize that it's a much bigger problem that we need to address.
Correct.
And that's the path.
Correct. Yes, that is more or less correct. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Yeah.
And then kind of when the path is generated, then our efforts are also to be there. So like in Sotapanna can be kind of heedless, the word the Buddha uses. So can be heedless, but he will not see the 8th birth. So that means that he may kind of wander around in the samsara for a other long period. Because the birth as again human may take a lot of time, then again he is reborn and he's kind of stumbles around again and then reaches. So even after he kind of path is generated, then there is a cultivation of that path, the pursuing of the path and being on the path is required. So path is generated, but your efforts are not stopping over there. If you kind of be heedless, saying that I'm kind of in a comfortable situation, I'm sure that I am a Sotapanna, but he stops effort, then it can be delayed. And Buddha says that in one of the cases, he calls the monks and says that I don't tolerate even delay of 1 second. Not whatever is the language he says, but it's a paraphrasing. For even 1 second, he will not tolerate the delay in becoming an arahant. So the continuous, even if the path is generated, you have to put in the efforts and keep on your efforts going.
Thank you, Ben.
Is there any other questions? Give me a minute, because I had sent this thing, a message for Sister Kamma. Okay, so they said that around 9 p.m. their time, Budapest time, they will Sister Kamma will reach there, and they are going to visit her in the morning. So we'll get some more news. Once she reaches there, then I'll post kind of an update. Maybe I'll post it on the group, because I've kind of refrained from kind of sharing it in the group. So we have just kept it to the people who are coming on the Zoom, and people we know individually we have updated. So most probably she will be kind of reaching tonight, and then that would be a 12-hour journey, because she, I think, started at 9 a.m. from Poland, and they will reach. So it's a, I hope they kind of stop and have lunch and all those things. So anyways, so she will be reaching. So if there are no questions, then we'll end this meeting. Is there any clarifications or even meditation related questions, you can ask now. Okay, I think everybody is clear about this. So we'll, okay, somebody is wanting a question.
Bante,
Yes.
Murli here.
Yes, Murli.
Yeah, what is my question is like with regarding the metta, if I am giving for myself the metta,
Correct.
and I should have the feeling of feeling whatever I say by means of words to myself. And suppose I am giving a metta to a spiritual person I've selected. So if I give the metta to the first person, so is that feeling will be felt by me only, right? I mean, the feelings towards others, I have to give the feeling from my end to the spiritual person. Can you just elaborate about that?
So it is not kind of sending or kind of, it is a feeling you are feeling, but you are sharing that feeling with the other person. You are wishing them. So say what you have, you can share with others. Okay. So what you say is, as I feel this way, my friend should also feel this way. May my friend be happy. So at that time you are feeling happy, then you say, may my friend be happy. And don't worry about how it is going or the mechanics. You are not pushing the metta. You are allowing it to be there and go. Okay. And you say that, may my friend be happy, and just wish him well. It is kind of wishing somebody well, that he may be happy. But the feeling, what you are feeling is very important. Because you have sent your metta to yourself, you have a happy feeling that you want your friend to feel. Okay. So don't worry about the mechanics of how this universe works and all these things. What we are doing is we are just wishing for the friend to be happy, and wishing that and allowing this whatever feeling is there to move as it wants to. You're not pushing it, you're not doing anything to the feeling. You're just having this feeling in your attention. Like you can imagine there is a candle. Okay. Bante used to give this example a lot. In a dark room, you light a candle. And what happens is, after some time, the whole room is filled with light. So the candle has to do nothing to kind of fill the room with light. Okay. What happens in the metta also? You feel the metta and you wish for the friend. It goes on its own. Okay.
Okay.
The metta goes on its own, and you are putting your attention on your feeling of metta. And once you are kind of feeling this metta very well, then you can stop sending it to yourself also. Then you can just wish your friend that, may my friend be happy. And at one point of time, your heart may be kind of filled with metta, and the verbalization also you may have to stop. So as your heart is kind of filled and you are doing it continuously, then you may stop verbalizing also. Then you just sit with your metta and just imagine this being sent to your friend. So you can do this practice in that way.
Thank you, Bate. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Okay, is there any other questions? Okay, then we'll share the merit. May suffering once be suffering free, and the fear-struck fearless be. May the grieving shed all grief, and may all beings find relief. May all beings share this merit that we have thus acquired for the acquisition of all kinds of happiness. May beings inhabiting space and earth, Devas and Nagas of mighty power, share this merit of ours. May they long protect the Buddha's dispensations. Sadhu, sadhu.